Hold on. Preview. Hello, everyone. We are live. Give us 2 seconds to make sure this. Okay, here we go. Go live. Okay. Hey guys. Hey everyone. It's Barbara J. Barnes here. I'm super duper excited. I have one of my great students, Mr. Daniel. We're going to talk about how he did his first probate wholesale deal and made $10,000. I'm so grateful to be a part of this journey with him. As you guys may know or may not know, I've been in real estate for next year will be 10 years for me. And I predominantly focus on the probate niche. Now, a lot of people say, Barbara, what is probate? Like, what does probate mean? Probate is the court administered process that takes place upon someone's passing. And the goal of probate, right, is to administer a deceased asset, right? To administer someone's estate, right? So when you say, like, when I say estate, people say, what does that mean? An estate is anything that you own personally. Okay. Like my cell phone's a part of my estate. If you can see my phone, my computers. Think about when I talk about an estate, I have people think about like a rich person, right? Think about like a Prince or, an MJ or somebody like that. Think about like these famous people have so many valuables in their estate, right? You're talking about millions of dollars maybe worth of jewelry, clothes, shoes, things of such. However, that's the anomaly, right? Those are the big people. So normal people like us, typically our biggest asset in our estate is our house, right? Our real property. Real property is the number one asset, right? That makes people wealthy in America, of course, right? The average person, right? We're not talking about, athletes or anything like that. So what makes probate so profitable and such a great niche is, unfortunately, only 33% of Americans actually have a will. And with that being said, the question is, what happens with the estate? What happens with your stuff, right? So if only 33% of Americans actually have a will, that means that more than half of individuals in the United States don't have a will. And then the question is, what happens to your things, right? So this is the reason why the probate niche is so lucrative, because unfortunately, people don't know what's going to happen with their stuff because they don't estate plan. And then the question is, what happens to the biggest asset? Now, your biggest asset is going to be the most expensive asset monetarily. You got to spend a lot of money on real estate. You got property taxes. You have all of these things that, encompasses a property, a real property. So the question is, what happens to the asset? So I teach the probate niche. What happens to the asset is 90% of the sellers sell actually within the first 12 months of opening up an estate. Why? Because the family members are not on the same page. And also they just can't afford it because it costs a lot to upkeep a property. So I want to talk to Daniel about his journey in the probate niche, about how he got started in real estate and where he sees his career going in this niche. So I'm gonna let Daniel take it away. So tell me a little bit about yourself and your journey and how you got started in real estate.
Great. Thank you, Barbara, for having me. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Daniel Mushala, agent extraordinaire. I've been at it for about 12, 15 years, something like that. I started off as an investor, had a whole rack of investment property in DC at one time. And I took all my money when the market started taking a shift out to Baltimore, invested in a whole lot of single families and multi-families, if you will. I end up becoming an agent just to get some more information. And plus, I'm just nosy sometimes. I like to dig in a little deeper. So that's how I got my license. And then from there, I just started helping people buy and sell houses and that sort of stuff. Now, the interesting thing is how I got into probate. It was about 9 years ago. My wife passed. So a part of my structuring of my investments was that the house we lived in wasn't in my name, but just wasn't her name. Now, what I should have done was the goal was to actually put that into a trust, which things happen in life, you never get around to it. But anywho, that was the plan at that time. We never got around to it before she passed. And when she passed, mind you, this is 9 years ago, I was getting letters from Express Home Buyers, Market Home Pros, and I'm still living in the same house, and I'm still getting those same letters 9 years later, which is crazy but it shows the fact that these machines are operating, that the opportunities are there to help people. One, which I enjoy doing. Two, there's opportunity to earn some income, if you will. So the way I got into probate was just by seeing that. I mean, I was already doing other sides of investing, but then I saw this. I said, well, this is a great opportunity. And then in conversations with a couple of colleagues in real estate, specifically Steve Twyman, I asked him about Barbara Barnes, and he said, yeah, you need to connect with her. She's pretty good people. So that's how I connected with Barbara and learning more about the probate and doing what I can do.
I was actually going to ask you that, right? I was going to say, how did you hear about me? Like, how did my name in probate ring a bell to you?
Yeah, from Steve. We sat down. Steve and I have been associates for the last 5 years or so. So we just sat down one day. We're just talking about where the market is, how it's been shifting, where it's going over the next year or so. And then we started talking about investment strategies, because I do have investors sometimes that need resources and loans, and talking to Steve about that. And then just turn around to probate. And then he just mentioned your name. Actually, I asked him about you, because I saw when I was doing some research about who does probate around here, your name did pop up. And then I saw your class and stuff like that. Then I asked him about him, did he know you or not? He's like, yeah. He gave you a shout out, said you're very good people. So I just followed through in that direction.
Have you ever
referral Steve Twyman?
I love Steve. He's a good guy. So have you ever tried any other like probate training or anything like that before you heard about me or no?
Yeah, of course. I did the what's that? Probate something that was around prior to the market shift, but then that organization fell by the wayside, and then just out of curiosity and trying to pursue this avenue, I said, let me just take your course, just add on to what I have and keep it moving. See if I missed anything, pick up anything new I need to learn, and made it happen from there.
Did you pick up anything new, or what was different?
Well, with your course, I mean, it's been some time between the two, so I don't really remember what happened with the other one. With your course specifically, that was enjoyable, was having you show us, step by step, this is how you do this is how you do that, this is how you research it, this is how you finally get the numbers to make the phone calls, just connecting the dots was good with your course.
Yeah, and I love that you said that, because a lot of people come to me, they either purchase other certifications or they were in some type of other training and they still feel stuck. They're still like, I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. What I teach people is probate is really simple. All you need is about 5 key pieces of data, right? The goal is to talk to the personal representative or the executor, administrator, whatever you want to call that person of the estate, to figure out if they want to sell the person that passed away's property. It is that simple. But what I love about probate is the fact that the leads are so much, to me, it's so much quality in the leads, because they have so many different levels of motivation than just maybe a pre-foreclosure, right? Or an absentee owner. Now, absentee owners and pre-foreclosures and all of the other niches, they do have motivation, but the motivation is different, right? So like when you're dealing with an absentee owner, that's typically a landlord who, somebody like us, like an investor, maybe they're just tired. But a lot of times, if they already have cash flow, like they don't really have a real reason to sell, right? They're not in a rush to sell. And if someone is in pre-foreclosure, somebody really may be going through a tough time personally. It could have lost their job. They could be going through health issues. So a lot of times they really don't want to sell. They sell out of this pain, right? But it's not like they want to sell. What I love about probate is a lot of times they actually have to sell. They have no choice, right? I'll be working with a lady right now. We had like an hour-long conversation. I just want to preface this really quick, so I want to get back to the point. So she's lived in the house for over 30 years. Her mom passed. Her mom left her brother and her daughter the property. Now she lives there. This is a property indeed. She does not want to sell. She wants to stay. Unfortunately, the other heirs, they want their money, right? They want to get paid out. And what happens is she does not have the finances or the credit to get a mortgage. But she has no choice, because it's 3 people, right? It's 3 personal representatives, and it's 3 people that now own a piece of this property. So what happens with probate is, the question is, what do we do with the house? If the judge rules and says you have to sell, you don't have a choice. right? So now the question is, who are you going to choose to work with? Right? Are you going to work with an investor or realtor? So this is the reason why I say, you know, unfortunately, it's a tough time for a lot of people, but it's like probate is tried and true. It is recession-proof. Unfortunately, people pass away all the time. So I just think that is a great niche for especially anybody getting started in real estate or just getting started in real estate investing or as a realtor. It is a great way to get deals. So I want to talk about, fast forward and talk about your deal. I want to talk about how long did you prospect the particular individual, and like what did that interaction look like? So can we kind of expound on that a little bit?
Well, just to your point, doing the research, developing a list, of course, you know, through the courthouse, if you will. So I had my list, you know, I do mine based upon monthly, like you showed us. And that was a matter of just phone calls. And actually what I do after phone calls, it depends on whether I speak to them or not. If I speak to them, then I end up sending them a thank you note for taking time out to speak to me or what have you. And so what happened is a young lady called me off of one of the thank you notes I sent out. And she said, hey, I got this property here that needs to be liquidated. Can you help me? And I said, yes, I can. Just sign on the dotted line and it's a done deal. So it took about 2 to 3 weeks after that to solidify it and get it done and get it sold. And she was happy. She's moving down to North Carolina to go be with her people, and she's making adjustments. So she was very pleased with the process. So it was just that simple. So at this present time, I still have perhaps 3 or 4 future deals in the line, just waiting for them to go through their process. And the thing about what Barbara is saying is that, so now it's at this point, with the foreclosure, pre-foreclosure is highly emotional. With this one, it's not necessarily emotional because now they've gotten over the emotional part of losing whoever they lost. And in some cases, people are even surprised they got the property through probate or what have you because people left it to them. Their folks, their family or friends or whatever else. So there's no necessarily real attachment to the property unless they want to live in the property. Then that's a whole other story. But outside of that, the question is what do you want to do with the property and how can we as professionals help you? And that's my position, is take it off from a professional standpoint. Do you want to stay? Okay, if you want to stay, let's figure that out. If you want to move, one, where are you going to move to and how are you going to move? And what are you going to do with the property? And then 3, sometimes the personal representative, they live in their own house. So quite frankly, they may need your help even renting out the other property. So one of the things about these conversations Barbara's having with all these people is that as an agent, those people end up being part of your SOI, your sphere of influence, right? So and these conversations tend to be a whole lot easier as opposed to trying to get somebody off the fence, either as a buyer or seller. Because like Barbara said, they are motivated. The question is just a matter of timing. And that's why it's good to make sure that you build up your call deck as much as possible and do your calls on a regular basis just to make sure you're touching bases, because you have to touch bases of these people at least once every 2 to 3 weeks. And that's what I try to do, especially those who are on the fence. Reach out to them, email them, whatever I got to do, just make sure that my face or my name is around them. So that way when they're ready and they're really ready, then they'll let me know. I mean, even still, for instance, today I had a conversation with a gentleman who told me 3 weeks ago, he's not sure. Followed up again, 4 weeks. Week 1, wasn't sure, let it go another week, came back next week, didn't answer the phone, came back today. Yeah, I'm going to probably rent it out. Okay, fine. Let me send you some comps for rentals to help you out in that regard. Send them some comps and also send them a thank you note in the mail. Because once again, we talk about touches, and this business is all about touches. How many times are you able to touch a particular person that's not yet a client, but could be a client in order for your name to resonate with them? And this has been one of the best ways to me, in my mind, in this business, to build up that database very quickly based upon just one conversation and following up from there.
Yeah. And you know what I love about probate is the fact that, for one, you can get the leads for free. Like, you don't have to spend. This is what I love about it. This is probably the number one niche, not probably, it is the number one niche, the cheapest barrier to entry. Okay. It's going to cost you time, right? Because you do have to spend your time getting the data. So that's not going to change. Once you optimize your process, you can always hire a virtual assistant to do the legwork, right? The data. That's what I do. I've been doing this for 10 years now. But what I know to be true is you are going to get a small number of quality leads that cost you little to no money. And it literally can turn you a profit and change the trajectory of your life and your business. I
Absolutely.
believe in that wholeheartedly. Like, I have a deal that's closing today. I have a settlement today. I'll make $20,000 on that deal. I have another one. I just got on the listing agreement. It may be an investment type of deal. I'll end up making about $50,000 on that deal. I have another one that's crazy in DC. Long story short, I'll make probably like 30 grand, right? So I tell people that what I love about probate is I can make multiple six figures without having to spend so much money on marketing. You know, at the end of the day, real estate is sales and marketing. Marketing. And then at some point, right, we're never going to be 100% on the psychology of sales, but you're going to have to really get great at that, right?
Mm-hmm.
What it's worth, if you get a probate seller at a good time and they trust you, right, you come off as a trustworthy person, you got business. And then it's not like you had to go spend thousands of dollars to get the business. Literally, if you don't have no money right now in your bank account, or you just don't have any deals, I say, listen, get a list, right? You can always pay for a list, or you can get the list for free on your own, and just start making the calls. I think the calls that people make, kind of scary, right? It's like, I have to make these cold calls, but you can always, I have this concept called passive cold calling, where you're cold calling, but you're not so salesy and so pushy. You're more so passive, like, hey, you know, I'm calling on behalf of, you know, Daniel and his group, you know, the Mushala group, right? He wanted me to give you a call about X, Y, and Z. So I take all of the weight off of me as the caller and put the weight on whatever company I'm calling on behalf of, and you'll start to see that people will open up to you because they don't feel like you're the CEO, right? So I think that's one of the most powerful things about the probate niche is you don't need thousands of leads to actually close a deal. When I tell people this, I don't think somebody was like, Barbara, you're lying. I'm like, I don't gotta lie. I showed them. I said one list. I called one list. It was about 70 leads on that list. I closed 2 deals and made $50,000. I can't see me doing. I can't see me doing that in any other niche. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible, but I know that this is tried and true. So I do want to ask you though. So when you got that lead, how many times did you like actually follow up with the call? For me, I feel like I'll follow up maybe between 12 and 20 times. Like I'm calling now. At least for me, 12 to 20 follow-up calls. That's not including the mail that I send. That's not including the text messages that I send, just off the call. So how many times do you feel like you reached out to the seller?
And that particular time was actually once, maybe twice. Because remember, I called, then I mailed a thank you note, and then she followed up the following week. So it just worked out of 2 calls. A call and a mailing, and then the third, of course, another call when we followed up and made an appointment to meet together. That's been it. I mean, the other ones, they are what they are because people are busy when they're trying to figure all this stuff out. So my thing with them is, okay, let me be your resource and assisting you to get this thing done. So even with other ones that are still waiting on the backside, at best, so this has been since February. So we're about 5 months in at best. Like I said, maybe a call every week or maybe other 2 weeks. And that's why it's important to do a follow-up mailing with them. So that at least they can have something in hand that says like, hey, I know this guy, I'm familiar with this guy, because I want my name to resonate with them. So that way, anytime I call or I text, I email or whatever else, they know who it is and they respond accordingly. So the kicker for me, though, to be honest with you, is just sitting down, making those phone calls. You have to really time block in order to make that happen, either in the morning, afternoon, or night. I have so many things coming at me sometimes, they blow my day, but I still try to, at minimum, I still try to do 2 hours worth of calls. Sometimes they go through, sometimes they don't, but I make a list. So every day, so if I'm good for a week, every day I'm making a call for a different list of people while I'm still adding on people to the list. And then you'll get a call sometime if somebody says, well, I'm not selling, but thank you so much for calling. You know what I do? I send them a thank you note, thank them again for answering my phone call. And in that note, guess what I leave? A business card.
Yes, I love it. I love
because
it.
you never know in this business what's going to happen. In that person, I send that thank you note, and I've sent that the call we just had. I put in my quarterly mailing, because in our business, and I was reading something the other day where it says that when a buyer uses their agent, well, there's 2 things. Buyers don't interview more than one agent, right? No more than one agent. But when they use that agent, the agent's good, that's going to refer them. So the same thing applies to the seller side. Well, you know what? I don't have an agent, but I know this guy who always in contact with me, reaches out to me. Here's his information, because this is a referral business. The best way to be or give or find referrals, if you will, is to connect with other people and make sure you're touching bases with them on a regular basis. So that way they can refer you out.
Yes, I love it. That is absolutely true. It's so funny you said that. I had a deal a few years back. It was a young lady living in the estate property, and I wanted to get the listing. The PR said, I'm not going to give you a listing until you find my daughter a place to go, meaning to buy her a house. So I actually helped her daughter buy a house, literally off of that phone call. Didn't know me. She ended up liking me. We hit it off, and she bought her first house. Now we got the listing, but it was a short sale. It was a long story. So I really love that you are going through this process, because I tell people, you know, in order for you to change your life, you're going to have to get uncomfortable. You're going to have to do things that you've never done. And you want to get around people who are actually doing the business. Now, I don't begrudge or downplay or down talk anybody, but when people call me, like, they're getting advice from people who are not in the business, or who is not actively doing the business. So when you're talking to me or you're interested in probate, like, I know what it feels like to be on the phone. I know what it feels like to get the deal under contract, to get the listing under contract. I know what you're going through. I know the pain points. And sometimes the pain points is this really going to work? A lot of people go through that. I just got picked up a student. He's in Georgia, did a presentation. And I love him because he's super high level, right? I just want to talk about him really quick. So he got the list. He took the advice, went down to Gwinnett County in Georgia. And he's like, Barbara, I got my first appointment. And he literally only been calling for like 3 days. So I'm like, every market is different. What I tell people about the DC market is our market is highly sophisticated. Like, I think the best thing you can do for a personal representative is give them all of the information, right? The rehab comps, right? The as is comps, the, like you said, the lease comps, if you want to rent it out. Give them the information so they can make the best decision for them. A lot of times people hold back, right? But when you give, even if you don't get that deal, you will end up getting opportunities. It's so funny. My phone now rings every single day. It was a point in time in business where I felt like I had to push. But at the end of the day, as your skills increase, your value increase, and you can't be scared to convey your value. Right? So I tell people, especially if you're a realtor, you got to be able to convey your value. If you're a real estate investor, you have to be able to convey your value in a way that's going to make the person why would you not want to work with her, right? Why would you tell Barbara no, right? And a lot of times it's the trust. The number one way in the probate niche that you're going to win deals is through trust. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Trust and a beautiful smile. And the reason why I say a smile, you see how positive energy that Barbara gives off. One of the things that I do in order to build that confidence and that trust within myself as I'm making these phone calls, I keep a mirror by the phone. I make sure when I'm dialing, I'm smiling, because I know that in this business, we're dialing for dollars. So I got to keep a smile on my face in order for the energy to exert itself so that the person on the line can actually hear excitement, not depression, not sadness, not, oh, I'm sorry for your loss. No, we don't talk about all that stuff. No, we talk about how can we be of service to you in this critical time in your life with this thing that you have to make a decision on, because they have to make a decision. That's the thing. They have to make a decision. The question is, are they going to move with you or are they going to move with somebody else? And I prefer it to be with me, so that way I can pay for my kids that are in college right now and other things that we all have. So one, to Barbara's point, write down your goal. What is it that you want to achieve? What is it that you want to earn? What is it that you want to do in this niche, right? Have that in front of you. Number two, go out and read books. Go on YouTube. There's some guy on YouTube I listen to every once in a while about cold calling, because that gives us some sort of inspiration. Look up Grant Cardone. He has this thing on cold calling. Just find a way to get over that hump and that fear of phone calling, and you'll be fine in this niche. And of course, take the class that Barbara has to offer. It's wonderful. It'll get you going in the right direction. And also think about this. There are over 28 counties in Maryland, and I'm only dealing with one right now. So guess what happens if I put a team together and I send someone out to Charles County or Howard County, or like you said, Gwinnett County, because this can actually be done across the country as long as you're teaching other people how to do it the right way based upon what you've learned through Barbara. So what I'm suggesting is that there's a lot of room out here for everybody to earn and to help other people. and just keep your goals in front of you, keep a smile on your face, and this will happen for you.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And that's one of the things that I'll eventually do. I'll expand my business into other markets, maybe about 3 or 4 other markets, because the goal is to, make multiple 6 figures every single month, right? Why not?
Right.
So what I teach is, I'm not teaching you how to become a millionaire. I'm teaching you a new way of thinking about a specific niche that you can go deep into and you can expand however you see fit, right? The reason why I think that it's really, really important to go deep on one niche, because now you become the expert, right? You become the expert in this thing and you know what to expect. When you try so many different niches and you're trying to do so many different things at one time, you don't know what to expect. I literally can get on the phone with a seller in about 5 to 8 seconds. I could tell whether they're going to do business with me or not. Literally. I don't have to make as many calls as I used to. Like when I first got into the business, I did everything. I can literally make about 5 to 10 phone calls and get a deal, right? But that comes with learning and doing the business and doing the business. But it's just doing that one thing, right? So what I love about probate is I'm not trying to teach you, like I say, how to be a millionaire. Like, how can you make an extra $10,000 or $20K, right? Period. Now, if you say, hey, Barbara, I want to make more, I want to do more deals, then let's talk about that. But the fact of the matter is you actually know how to do it, right? And you didn't have to spend a lot of your own money. This is what I love about the niche so much, because it's hard. Like, times are hard. Inflation is up. People are losing their jobs. The cost of living is crazy, right? Like, rent is high. Like, rent is crazy these days, right? Interest rates are up. So it's just like, at the end of the day, like, why can't we figure out a way in which we can, derive income, get some income and figure out how far we want to take it, right? The sky's the limit, especially in sales. But what I love about the probate niche is tried and true. It's recession-proof. Unfortunately, people pass away all the time. And most of the people who pass away, either they don't have a trust. A lot of times they don't. I'm not saying that they don't, but a lot of times they don't have a trust. And even if you have a will, your will still has to be probated. You still have to go through the probate process with the will. Now, your will makes the probate process easier because it says in your will who gets what, but you still have to go through probate. And probate, of course, is the public record in which we can go, we can look up and see if the decedent had property or not. So I think it's such a powerful niche. If anyone wants to learn more about the probate niche, you can get my free guide at theprobateniche.com. Just a simple free guide, so you can just kind of get your, wet your whistle or whatever, just kind of get some information and just see if it's for you. It may not be for you. You might not want to talk to people who lost loved ones. Maybe that's, a sticking point or it's too emotional for you. But what I will say, it is tried and true. And literally, Daniel only has been making calls, and he haven't even made thousands of calls. And he got a deal. He made $10,000 on an opportunity, literally off of 2 to 3 phone calls. And that's phenomenal, in my opinion.
And the thing about it, though, it was actually 20. But the thing about it is this. To her point, the riches are in the niches. Learned that a long time ago, right? Number 2, there are 3 constants in life: change, taxes, and death, right? And then the third point is this. Don't worry about them. They already there, and they've already passed whatever they were going through. That's that. Worry about yourself to make sure that you, one, have the knowledge, have the understanding of the process and how you can service the people. You put the service before yourself, right? You always got to put the service before yourself. You can't put the cart before the horse because it doesn't work. But if you put the service before everything else and you think about servicing them, then you get those results that you're looking for.
I agree with that. I think it's give. I was watching a video by Alex Hormozy today. And he talked about give, and then get. And it was so powerful because it's like the more you give, he says that humans, we innately have reciprocity, right? We innately want to reciprocate, right? How can you not want to give somebody something who actually helped you, right? So I think that it's very important. Just give that information, give a little bit of your time. And you'll see what opportunities open up for you. So, Daniel, I really, really appreciate your time. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. I just hope that you close more deals, kill it, do some investments. do some more listings, and 10x your income. I think that's really important. And now that you know how this thing works, the sky's the limit.
And think about it this way, right? Whatever the cost is, let's say $1,000, $800, just to take the course. You get that back tenfold, if not 20-fold or 30-fold. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but if you do the things that she suggests in the classes that she teaches, it would happen. And I'm proof of the pudding, because I think I finished it in February, got everything all together in March. I started making my calls in March. By May, I already had something in play. Of course, then you have to give time for close, but you're talking about 3 months if you're really adamant about doing this thing, and then you can see your return on your investment.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, so you have a great one. If you need me, you got my number. You can hit me up anytime. I appreciate you guys who watched. If you have any questions, you guys can feel free to hit me up anytime. DM me, and also get the free guide at theprobateniche.com. All right, y'all, make it a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.